The things you worry about, 99% of them will never happen. Have you ever had this moment? Lying in bed, your mind is holding a meeting. Will tomorrow's presentation go wrong? Did that wrong word from last week still linger in their mind? Where will I be in 3 years? What if I choose wrong? The more you think, the more scared you get, the more you think. From one small issue right in front of you, spiraling all the way to a life crisis. Then you tell yourself, stop thinking, go to sleep. But you just can't stop. You're not solving problems, you're prepaying for worries. You've already worried about things that haven't happened yet. You've chewed over things that already happened 10 times. Anxiety isn't because you think too much, it's because you keep thinking, what if? What if I fail? What if I get rejected? What if I'm not good enough? You think this will prepare you, but actually, you're just torturing yourself. Zhuangzi saw through this 2,300 years ago. He has 5 sentences. Each one hits hard, but each one is the antidote. Why do we get anxious? You might say, because I care too much about results, because I'm not confident enough, because I'm afraid of failure. Or you might say, because competition is too fierce now, because life pressure is too great, because I dare not stop. You've tried everything, making plans, meditating, reading psychology books. You tell yourself, think positively. Tell yourself, don't worry. But anxiety still comes, because you've been fighting anxiety instead of understanding it. Zhuangzi says, the essence of anxiety is that you divide the world into good and bad, then desperately cling to the good and avoid the bad. But this dualistic mind is the root of suffering. Zhuangzi has a very important essay called On the Equality of Things, Qiwulun. What does Qiwu mean? It means treating all things as equal, without distinctions of high or low, good or bad, right or wrong. Sounds abstract? Let me translate it for you. Those things you worry about, workplace competition, gains and losses in relationships, uncertainty about the future, you think they're external things opposed to you. But Zhuangzi says, no, you and this world are one. You're not fighting life, you're simply living it. Your anxiety comes from trusting your own judgments too much. Zhuangzi told a story. Once he dreamed he was a butterfly, fluttering among flowers, extremely happy. He completely forgot he was Zhuangzi. Suddenly he woke up, found himself still Zhuangzi, lying in bed. Then he fell into thought. Am I Zhuangzi who dreamed of being a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming of being Zhuangzi? This story isn't testing your philosophy knowledge, it's telling you a truth. What you think is real may just be your perspective. What you think is good or bad may just be your judgment. Anxiety comes from trusting your own judgments too much. First sentence, heaven and earth were born at the same time as I, and all things are one with me. Heaven and earth exist together with me. All things and I are one. Those things you worry about, workplace competition, gains and losses in relationships, uncertainty about the future, you think they're external things opposed to you. But Zhuangzi says, no, you and this world are one. You're not fighting life, you're simply living it. When you set yourself against the world, you feel anxious, because you always feel like you're battling something. But when you realize you and the world are one, you relax, because there's no need to fight, just to live. Second sentence, there is nothing that is not that. There is nothing that is not this. Nothing is not that. Nothing is not this. In plain language, everything is relative. What you consider failure might be success in someone else's eyes. What you consider a lost opportunity might be the beginning of another opportunity. You're anxious because you're too certain this is bad. But Zhuangzi says, how do you know it's definitely bad? That thing you thought was a disaster 3 years ago, looking back now, wasn't it so bad after all? Third sentence. The moment something is born, it begins to die. The moment it dies, it begins to be born again. The moment it arises, it passes. The moment it passes, it arises again. This sentence sounds bleak, but it's actually healing. Zhuangzi is saying everything changes, nothing is permanent, including your anxiety. This thing you're anxious about now, will you still remember it in 3 months? In a year? The truth about anxiety is it won't last forever. It comes and it goes. You don't need to solve anxiety, you just need to wait for it to pass. Fourth sentence. There, they have their own rights and wrongs. Here, we have our own rights and wrongs. There they have one set of right and wrong. Here, we have another set. Meaning, everyone has their own standards and judgments. You're anxious because you're measuring yourself by others' standards. Society says you should own a house and car by 30, so you're anxious. Social media says everyone else is living better than you, so you're anxious. Parents say you should be stable, so you're anxious. But Zhuangzi says those are their rights and wrongs, not yours. What are your standards? What do you want? What do you think is important to you? When you start living by your own standards, anxiety decreases because you're no longer living for others' expectations. Fifth sentence. Rather than praise Yao and blame Ji, better to forget both and merge with the Wei. Rather than praising Emperor Yao and blaming Emperor Jie, better to forget them both and merge with the Wei. This sentence is Zhuangzi's ultimate answer. Let go of judgment. You're anxious because you keep judging. This is good, that is bad. This is the right choice, that is the wrong choice. But Zhuangzi says, no need to judge. Choices don't have absolute right or wrong. Every path has scenery, every path also has pits. You don't need to find the right choice, you just need to make your own choice right. Let go of judgment, and anxiety loses its soil. 5 sentences, 1 truth. You're anxious because you're looking at the world with a dualistic mind. You separate yourself from the world, good from bad, right from wrong. Then you desperately cling to the good and avoid the bad. But Zhuangzi says, no need. All things are one. Everything is relative. Everything changes. Everything can be without judgment. When you stop distinguishing this is good, that is bad, anxiety disappears. Not because you solve the problem, but because you no longer treat the problem as a problem. Remember that opening line? The things you worry about, 99%, will never happen. Now you understand. It's not that those things won't happen, but even if they do, it's not so bad. Because everything passes. Everything can be redefined. You don't need to control the future. You just need to live in the present. Be water, my friend.